It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Stop hitting me, Sierra! Oh, man, she made it well known. Bam! It's Sovereign Curtis, not Chris. Sorry about that, Curtis. Sovereign Curtis. I knew that. I'm just, confusing you with Black Chris, man. He always calls himself Sovereign. The guy with the AR-15. Well, what we're going to do is get back to Sovereign Curtis here and declare your independence and make sure that we understand. First thing, where'd you get that name, man? Help me out.
Well, I'm a little bit further along the path of liberty today than I was when I adopted that name. Back then, I believed that God's came from our rights came from our Creator, and we were bestowed with sovereignty upon birth. I don't quite believe that anymore, but I still go by the names.
Well, tell me, you can't open up that can of worms, man. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I think personally, I don't believe in rights. I think rights is an abstract that is pretty much just a point of discussion, and trying to argue with a policeman over what your rights are is pretty boring, really.
Go ahead and keep your mouth into the microphone, man. You're fading
sorry
out.
about that. So I don't believe in rights. I don't think they actually exist. But what I do believe in is abilities. And I believe that if you want to be sovereign, you need to base it upon your abilities to be sovereign. That includes resources and a network and information and all those sort of things. So I'm not quite there yet, but I'd like to be one day.
So you're like, you don't have any rights you can't exercise. So, I've heard that argument, and we can go down that rabbit hole for a long time. But, the bottom line is you're freedom-oriented and get more and more freedom-oriented, right?
Exactly.
So this is, I had dinner last night with a couple of guys from Poland. They're here interning at the Goldwater Institute, and it was suggested that they meet with me, and we talked about Porcfest, and they have friends that are from Russia that are going to be going. They're visiting here. You want to find anarchy, man? We're going to Porcfest. So they're going as an education for themselves to learn how this whole thing works in a society with voluntary consenting adults around just living free. And it seems that Porcfest has become an inspiration to a lot of people around the world. What do you hear about that?
I think that's absolutely great. One of the things that's kind of interesting to note, though, is when you go to Porcfest and you immerse yourself into what is the voluntary society for 1 week, you find it's not really all that different from back home. Sure, you've got a little more freedom and you're feeling good and whatnot, but it turns out that, the vast majority of us live a voluntary lifestyle 99.9% of our lives anyway. It's only when the state starts messing around like they own us that people start living by the statist rules. So, people might think about, the scary word of anarchy and how are we going to pay for the roads after this happens. But, once you come and you visit Porcfest and you say, it's not that strange, voluntary trade. People, people engage in that every day, whenever they go and look at, say, Craigslist. You don't need the state there to protect you. It's, consumer beware. So I think it opens people's eyes that, hey, this isn't really that strange of an idea. What is strange is say, hey, we need to base our society on someone holding a gun to our head.
There's a graphic that came up on the video here. Sierra had Porcfest 2011 with the Russian flag and the communist symbol. What's that about?
That was a fan that got it. I've got this nickname now that I've been organizing Porcfest for last year, Soviet Curtis, because I'm kind of a dictator or whatnot when it comes to organizing, which it's mostly a joke, and it's a running joke, and that's actually a result of that running joke.
Okay, I was just going, okay, whatever.
Did she find any of the others where I'm made to look as though I'm Joseph Stalin?
She's got a bunch up here. I can't keep track of them. They're just going they're scrolling as we're doing this. So anybody wants to see all these graphics, go to the video YouTube of the show and you'll see. But there's maps and such up there too. That's another thing. Rogers Campground is a beautiful place, and it's nice, and it's just isolated up there on the near the Canadian border. So you have this nice woodsy feel, and you do a lot of hikes and such. But you have on the map, you'll have noisy area, quieter area. So tell us about that. That's one thing that we were staying in the motel rooms there when we went, and had a camp spot, and we were kind of strung out all over. And yeah, boy, if you're in the wrong place, you're hearing the music till late. So tell us about that.
Yep. So I mean, we do like to have a good time. You mentioned the kids stuff earlier and the adult stuff, and we try to cater to everyone without making it bland to appeal to everyone. So we've done a whole lot this year to appeal to the kids and families and whatnot, but we're not going to forsake the adults. Like I like to party, you know. So we still have a lot of fun stuff going on late night down the pavilion and whatnot, the Freaking Pavilion.
Yeah, so if you want to be quiet, go in the other corner, because it's a big place. I mean, it's probably, I don't know, a dozen acres or more.
It could hold about 2,500 people.
How many you got signed up?
We've sold something like 620 tickets so far. We're expecting about 1,000 people.
Yep. That's usually
sold out.
Yeah, no, I'm expecting it's going to. Well, you know, the other thing, tell us about Agora Alley or Valley, or what do you call it this year?
Well, Agora Alley last year was just this concept idea of encouraging free marketeers, agorists to set up in one strategic walkway or road location, you know, all one in a row there. And then, you know, people would be encouraged to walk down there and engage in open commerce. And it went over really well last year. A lot of vendors who took part in it, they succeeded rather well beyond their expectations. And so this year we just expanded it into what we're calling Agora Valley. We had maybe 24 vendors last year in Agora Alley, and this year we're looking at about 65 in Agora Valley, ranging from great food, leather work. There's going to be drinks for sale. There's going to be all types of stuff.
Yeah, bring your gun, man. They make you a custom holster right there. Hey, you know, that was another thing that I noticed. You know, a lot of people walked around carrying firearms, and there was a time when they had the local police were just kind of touring the camp, just keep coming in, and people went, get out of here. Had to have the owners tell them, you know, shoo away, unless we call you, you're not welcome. So, you know, we're all good. So it's a nice atmosphere. You're not having to worry about somebody patrolling all the time. You know, the owners of the campground, tell us about them.
Oh, they're great. They come from Mid-Atlantic State, I believe. They bought the campground as, you know, when they were retiring, and they just love the lifestyle of, you know, owning and operating a campground. And every year we keep coming back because we love the campground. It's the largest privately owned campground in New Hampshire. And we tried going to a different campground that was government subsidized, and that really didn't work out because they were telling us when we could play music and when we could drink booze and all that sort of thing. We don't like all those extra rules. So even though Rogers is way the hell up north, we decided, hey, that's the best fit for our party because we have the best time there. And they respect us and they appreciate our business. So I'm really happy to be going back there, and we'll probably be going back there for a few more years until we outgrow it. And then I don't know what we're going to do because, like I said, they're the biggest campground.
Buy land. You become the biggest campground.
Yeah, we're going to have to start knocking down some trees.
You know, this is it's a good time, and I'm really glad I'm going to be spending the week up there. And, yeah, I'll be participating, having some fun. But, you know, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that if you want to experience, I mean, you really want to experience what it's like, just to hang out with some free-minded individuals for an extended period of time, it's so relaxing. Just relaxing and safe for you, your family, your children. No pressure, nobody's bothering you, and you're just having a good time. Sovereign Curtis, thanks for coming on, man. We'll be right back.